Okinawan sweet potatoes are a favorite of many local families, and most of what we enjoy come from Hawaii Island.
And as Raquel Kahlo tells us, researchers there are working to protect the crop by stopping viruses before they reach farmers' fields.
Sweet potatoes are a big part of Hawaii agriculture.
Because of our tropical weather and our volcanic soils, and so we have the market on the purple Okinawan. Other places haven't been able to grow it.
Last year, farmers harvested more than 6 million pounds of the root vegetable.
That's coming from about 400 acres, and that acreage is primarily located on the Big Island in the Hamakua area, and so we're seeing a lot more sweet potatoes, and that is very good for our economy. It contributes about $4.8 million.
That's why researchers at UH's College of Tropical Agriculture and Human Resilience say the work in this Hilo lab is so important.
The primary goal of the Sweet Potato Center is to provide planting material that's virus-free.
It's the nation's only clean plant center dedicated to Okinawan sweet potatoes and traditional Hawaiian heritage uala.
Removing viruses is important because a lot of these viruses can really affect production yields, upwards of 40%.
The researchers carefully grow tiny parts of the plant. Then, they carefully remove viruses that could affect future plantings.
Right now, we're getting very close to cleaning and releasing a specific line of sweet potatoes that were found on the Big Island that have shown to have nice uniformity and that really dark purple color.
The thriving plants are multiplied and distributed, giving local farmers a starting point for a healthy crop. Raquel Kahlo, Hawaii News Now.